Welcome to Daily Stoicism Official, your source for ancient wisdom to navigate modern life. Society often views a lack of friends as a negative thing, but what if it's not? In today's video, we'll explore what it means when someone has few friends through the lens of Stoic philosophy. You might be surprised to discover that solitude often reveals strength, not weakness. There's a peculiar kind of quiet that comes with having no friends. It's not the calming silence that follows a storm. Rather, it's the unsettling stillness that underscores what's missing in your life. You might find yourself sitting in a crowded room, surrounded by laughter and conversation, yet feel an unmistakable void, a hollow space where meaningful connections should exist. Why do we end up here, longing for bonds that once seemed so natural and effortless? What does this loneliness reveal about our lives, our priorities, and the choices we make, often without realizing it? Friendship isn't just a necessity, it's a cornerstone of human existence. We are social creatures wired for connection, yet many of us find ourselves isolated, carrying the burden of disconnection in a world brimming with people. If friendships are the soul's nourishment, why are so many of us starving? This absence of companionship isn't random. It reflects something deeper about how we live, how we think, and the values we place on relationships. A lack of friends isn't merely a circumstance, it's a signal. But what is it trying to tell us? 1. Not prioritizing friends. The pace of modern life often turns relationships into afterthoughts. Work deadlines, family obligations, and personal goals dominate our calendars, leaving little room for the quiet joys of friendship. Let's be honest, when was the last time you made a genuine effort to nurture a friendship? Many people treat their social connections like houseplants they forgot to water, hoping they'll thrive despite neglect. Imagine this. You're scrolling through your phone on a Sunday evening, staring at the list of unread messages from people you genuinely like, but haven't replied to in weeks. I'll get back to them tomorrow, you tell yourself for the 100th time. Yet tomorrow comes and goes, and the messages remain unanswered. Over time, relationships falter not because of conflict, but because of neglect, slow, steady, unintentional neglect. Friendship requires effort, but that effort feels heavy in a world where everyone is trying to do too much. Here's the bitter irony. We push friendships aside for other priorities, only to realize too late that those priorities feel hollow without someone to share them with. Life gets busy, but meaningful relationships are what make the chaos worthwhile. If friendships aren't thriving in your life, ask yourself, are you truly too busy, or have you simply forgotten how much they matter? 2. Waiting for invitations. There's a strange paradox to loneliness. It often feeds itself. You sit at home hoping someone will call or text, imagining scenarios where you're the life of a gathering to which you were never invited. But here's the truth. Friendship isn't a waiting game. Sitting on the sidelines, hoping someone else will make the first move, is like expecting a plant to bloom without ever planting a seed. Picture this. It's a Friday night, and you're scrolling through social media, watching stories of people laughing, dancing, and clinking glasses. You sigh, feeling left out, and wonder why no one has thought to invite you. How often have you extended an invitation yourself? Waiting for others to take the lead in relationships is a recipe for disappointment. People might assume you're busy and uninterested, or perhaps they're waiting for you to make the first move. The truth is, initiating doesn't make you desperate, it makes you brave. Extending an invitation shows that you care and that you value connection enough to take the risk of rejection. And yes, rejection is a possibility, but isn't it better to try and fail than to sit alone, wondering what could have been? Friendship thrives on reciprocity, not passivity. If you're waiting for an invitation, maybe it's time to send one. 3. Friends moving on. Sometimes the absence of friendship isn't due to neglect or hesitation. It's about the natural ebb and flow of life. People change. They move to new cities, switch careers, start families, or simply grow in directions you can't follow. One day you're inseparable, the next you're strangers with shared memories. Imagine your closest friend from college landing a job across the country. At first you promise to keep in touch via video calls, regular texts, and the occasional visit. But as the months go by, the calls become less frequent, and the texts feel more perfunctory. New people fill their world while your routines remain the same. The bond doesn't break in a single moment. It erodes gradually, like a shoreline worn away by the tide. This is one of the hardest truths about friendship. Not all connections are meant to last forever. Sometimes people move on not out of malice, but because life pulls them in different directions. It's easy to feel abandoned and mourn what was lost. But this doesn't mean you're doomed to loneliness. New connections await if you're willing to embrace change. The end of one friendship often makes room for another, but only if you're open to the possibility. 4. Not meeting enough like-minded people. Surrounded by people who don't understand you, it's not about being alone. It's about feeling disconnected, even in a crowd. Friendships based on shared values and perspectives are rare treasures, but finding them in today's fragmented world can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. Imagine attending a party where every conversation feels like a script you weren't given. People talk about topics you don't care about, laugh at jokes that aren't funny, and exchange pleasantries that feel hollow. You leave feeling more isolated than when you arrived. The problem isn't the lack of people, it's the lack of connection. Finding like-minded friends requires more than luck. It requires intention. This means seeking out spaces where your interests align with others. Consider joining a book club, attending a workshop, or taking up a hobby that excites you. However, here's the catch. You have to show up. Finding your people means stepping outside your comfort zone, risking awkward interactions, and putting yourself out there. It's not easy, but it's worth it. The joy of real connection far outweighs the effort when you find someone who truly understands you. Changing jobs or transitioning to working from home can also impact friendships. Work has always been a fertile ground for relationships. Shared projects, lunch breaks, and office banter create bonds that often extend beyond the workplace. But what happens when you leave a job or switch to remote work? The connections you once took for granted can vanish overnight, leaving you adrift in a sea of solitude. Initially, the shift to working from home might seem like a dream: no commute, no office politics, and the freedom to work in pajamas. However, as weeks turn into months, you may start to miss the casual conversations, shared laughter, and human energy that can't be replicated over Zoom. Remote work offers convenience, but it often comes at the cost of connection. Changing jobs presents its challenges. Walking into a new workplace means starting from scratch and building relationships with people who already have their circles. This can be intimidating, but it's also an opportunity. Every new job and environment is a chance to form fresh connections if you're willing to make the effort. Friendship in the workplace isn't automatic. It's a choice. Like all relationships, it requires vulnerability, openness, and a willingness to try. Friendship reflects the life you build. When it's missing, it's not a judgment of your worth, but a call to action, a reminder to prioritize what truly matters. Step out of your comfort zone and nurture the connections that make life meaningful. Ultimately, the quality of your friendships isn't just about who you meet, it's about how much of yourself you're willing to give. Thank you for watching Daily Stoicism Official.